Hello, drama lovers. Welcome back to K-pop world. There's a sentence that may sound simple, but when spoken by someone who just returned from the edge of life and death, its meaning becomes entirely different. And today, we'll talk about that one sentence. A sentence that didn't just leave a doctor stunned, but brought thousands of fans around the world to tears and silence. That day arrived like any other morning. Quiet, exhausting, filled with fragile hope. In one of the intensive care rooms of a hospital in Beijing, a young man had been lying unconscious for days. His body was surrounded by medical equipment. His heart monitor continued to beep steadily, but its rhythm was flat, not dangerous, but not exactly promising either. His name was Wang Yibo, a public figure adored not only for his looks and talent, but for a sincerity that's never quite been explained in words. Days had passed since news of his health nearly broke the internet. Fans around the world had been waiting every second for an update from the hospital, praying for even the smallest glimpse of good news. And that day came, without warning, without alarms. One of the doctors on shift noticed a small movement in his eyelids. A slow reflex, but just enough for the entire medical team to exchange looks. Then came a faint murmur, a sound barely audible. But as they leaned in closer, everyone in the room heard clearly what the man uttered in a weak, broken voice. "I want to see Xiao Zhan." There were no screams, no over-the-top drama. But that one sentence changed the entire atmosphere of the recovery room. The doctor who had been focused on his vitals took a deep breath. A nurse looked down, trying to hold back tears. Even one of the staff outside the room later admitted they felt chills down their spine upon hearing those words whispered from behind the door. That was Wang Yibo's first sentence after waking up. And it wasn't about himself, not about his family, not about his condition, but about someone who has long existed alongside him in the public eye, in a relationship never explained, never made official, but always felt. Xiao Zhan. Some believed it was just a post-trauma hallucination. But Yibo's expression was too real. His gaze, though still weak, was fixed in one direction, and his hand, trembling, seemed to be reaching for something missing from his side. The news somehow reached outside. A medical staff member whispered it to the security guard, and from there it spread. Within 2 hours, the internet was filled with one sentence. "I want to see Xiao Zhan." Someone recorded a video from outside the hospital as several fans quietly began to cry. No screaming, no hysteria, just quiet sobs. Some of them couldn't even speak. They stood frozen, staring at their phones, reading the headline, as if in disbelief. He really said Xiao Zhan? After everything, the first person he wanted to see was him? Oh God, I thought I was strong, but turns out I'm not. Comments like those flooded the timelines. From China, Korea, Southeast Asia, to Europe and the US. No subtitles needed. No long explanation. Everyone understood. That sentence was not ordinary. That sentence was a message. Meanwhile, many fans asked the same question. Where was Xiao Zhan at that time? Rumors quickly spread that he was abroad or perhaps restricted from visiting. But then a story surfaced from a hospital guard. He said that the night before, a man wearing a cap and a mask had been sitting quietly in the hospital's back garden. He came alone. He spoke to no one. And when asked by staff, he simply replied, "I'm here, just in case he wakes up and looks for me." The guard refused to name names. But the way he described the moment left little doubt in the minds of fans. That man was Xiao Zhan. Later that evening, it was said that one of the medical staff privately called someone to come inside. The room was tightly guarded. No media, no cameras, just two men, in a meeting that likely happened in complete silence. However, one of the nurses who stepped out minutes later was seen wiping tears. She said nothing at first, then whispered, I just witnessed the quietest, most sincere hug I've ever seen." A few days later, Wang Yibo's condition improved. He could speak a bit more, slowly turn his head, and lift his hand. And in a private moment, he once again mentioned Xiao Zhan, not merely as someone he missed, but as the sole reason he chose to hold on. "I knew, if I gave up, I'd never get to see him again." That sentence, too, was leaked. Once again, from a hospital worker too emotional to keep it to themselves. and it spread even faster than the official medical reports. Fans began printing the quote on shirts, stickers, digital art, and even reading it aloud as poetry. They knew, even if it was never announced, never confirmed, something real existed between the two, a bond that didn't require a label. Xiao Zhan still hasn't released any public statement. He remains silent. No updates, no comments. But as always, in that silence lies something much louder than words. And maybe for the first time, the world knows silence too can be a form of love that hurts the most. Now, Wang Yibo is still in recovery. There's no word on when he'll reappear in public or whether he still needs extended treatment. But after that sentence left his lips, everything changed. Not just how people view their connection, but how people understood the meaning of attachment. Because sometimes you don't need to shout to express how you feel. You don't need to admit anything to show who's truly in your heart. Just one name, one sentence, and the whole world understands. What truly happened between Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan may never be fully explained. But we've all known the feeling of losing someone. We've all wanted to hold someone who wasn't beside us. And when someone like Yibo, standing at the edge of everything, still thinks of one name, then it's not just a story. Drama lovers, what do you think? Is love like this real? Or is it just a reflection of hearts that desperately want to believe? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget, keep your heart ready, because this story isn't over yet. See you in the next episode, only on K-Pop World.